This is the fastest tapping technique ever, and it's a lot easier to do than it sounds. Conventional shredding techniques like alternate picking take years to master, but with this technique you can actually sound amazing on guitar without really needing that much practice. So what is it? Well, watch this video to the end to find out what this technique is, exactly how to practice and play it, as well as some examples of how to use it musically. Because it's really easy to play super fast and just melt faces with this technique, but we can be creative and musical with it too. So this technique is known as machine gun tapping, or sometimes it's called scissor tapping. Like I said, it's very easy to do, and in its most basic form, it's just 4 notes. Let's use 12 and 15 on the high E string, these 2 notes. Right hand tap, pull off, then we're gonna hammer on the same note, and then pull off again. So we've got tap, pull off, hammer, pull off, tap, pull off, hammer, pull off, on the same fret. And then you just repeat that and gradually add speed. The reason it's sometimes called scissor tapping is because of how your fingers kind of look like a pair of scissors from above. Now the tap and the hammer don't have to be on the same fret. Let's use 14 for the hammer, for example. It would sound like this. From here we could do a more typical kind of Eddie Van Halen tapping, like all down, or all up, or the Paul Gilbert thing. But the 2 key differences are, for machine gun tapping, is that firstly you always have a pedal tone. That means, in our case, if we're doing this, every second note will be this note. So it gives it that character because it's always a pedal tone. Every second note is your lowest note. And the other thing is, because of the nature of machine gun tapping, it's just easier to play even faster. And if you don't believe me, spend a very small amount of time practicing it. You could also have the tapping and hammer-ons far apart. So for example, we could use 12, 15, and 19 like this. And now we're actually outlining an E minor triad. So here's a short solo with a slower note division, which outlines the underlying chords from the backing track. By the way, if you like the solos in this video, you can get the tabs and the tracks free following the link in the description, as always. You might have also noticed in this solo, I'm alternating which note I tap on. So I have 2 notes that I'm switching between. So rather than the pattern being a repeating pattern of 4, it sort of becomes a repeating pattern of 8. So what am I talking about? This is how it was when I demonstrated it before the solo. But now I'm tapping on the 12 and then 13 like this. It just adds a little bit more musicality and interest. Especially if this is your first time using this technique. Try to make sure that you keep the notes as even as possible, and make sure that you use the fleshy part of your right hand to mute any strings that you're not playing. And by the way, you can easily just move this technique to any other string, like so. You just have to make sure you're always muting all the strings that you're not playing. So let's take this to the next level, and I'm going to play that same solo again, but with a little twist. See if you can see what changes. Now it's already starting to sound pretty nuts. And all I've done is I've just a faster note division. So now I'm just moving to 16th note triplets. Just the triplet version of the first solo. We'll start by keeping it simple, just back in one position again with the 12 and the 15. And I've got 120 beats per minute. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna do just right hand taps like this. And the next thing I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna do a trill, a normal trill, like this. Well, what I want to do is switch back and forth, doing only taps and then only trills, and then I'm going to put in little bursts where I'm using both. Taps, just taps, now hammers, okay, now just taps again, and I'm going to put the hammers in between. Okay, ready? Because technically, each individual finger, meaning your tapping finger and your hammer and pull-off finger, only have to move at that same speed. It's just that they are alternating with each other. That's what gives you the ability to play so fast when you're using this technique. So for instance, 140 would sound like... We're going to play another solo that descends through A minor, but we're going to start by using the right hand tapping only, just so we can get used to the position shifts. and put it all together for the final solo. Here we go. Machine gun tapping sounds awesome and it is a lot of fun. But what if we want to play super fast but also still have that aggressive tone of alternate picking? Click this video next to find out what this special combination of picking and legato is, how to efficiently practice it, and practice it along with me to make sure that you nail it at full speed.